The zoo trembled. Not the usual shiver of time distortion, this was deeper. Primal. Something ancient was stirring beneath the obsidian floors of the volcanic biome. The very rock seemed to groan, and I could hear the distant, angry crackle of magma. It was a tremor born not from a glitch in the timeline, but from something buried within it. Deep inside its chamber, Emberglass, the majestic phoenix who ruled this fiery domain, stirred from its slumber. Its eyes, usually embers of quiet warmth, flared into a brilliant, almost panicked glow. The cracks started small, spider-webbing across the polished black walls, each one a hairline fracture in reality itself. But they were spreading. Fast. Whatever was happening, it was centered here, with Ember. And it felt like the heart of the zoo itself was about to break. I had to get there! Now. I phased into the swirling heat of the volcanic biome. The air, thick with the smell of sulfur and cooling rock. The tremor had subsided, but an unsettling hum remained, a low frequency that made my teeth ache. I found Emberglass perched precariously, its magnificent plumage ruffled, its gaze fixed on a section of the far wall. Emberglass, what did you feel? What was that? Its voice, usually a song of crackling flames, was a low, strained whisper. A memory unsealed. A promise broken. The chamber calls. It dipped its head towards a part of the wall I'd never noticed before. It wasn't just a wall, it was a vault. A massive, circular door of seamless obsidian, etched with glowing crimson glyphs that pulsed with a life of their own. This was new and terrifying. Emberglass was the keeper of this biome's secrets, and it seemed the biggest one was about to be revealed, whether we were ready or not. The glyphs were a language I didn't recognize, but their energy was immense, a coiled serpent of power. I had to understand what they meant, what this chamber was for. My multi-tool word to life, its scanners ready to decipher the ancient code. The scanner projected the glyphs into the air before me, translating their core concepts: balance, sacrifice, memory. 3 words, heavy with meaning. 3 truths, Emberglass rasped, its form flickering slightly. One must be forgotten to keep the seal. A choice? Of course, it was a choice. My mind raced. This chamber, whatever it held, was clearly linked to the biome's stability. If I chose wrong, I could trigger the very eruption this vault was meant to contain. The magma beneath our feet wasn't just a feature, it was a threat. Emberglass, sensing my hesitation, offered a cryptic clue, its voice like stones grinding together. The past burns brightest when ignored. What did that mean? Forget memory. That seemed too obvious, too dangerous. Forget balance. That would surely lead to chaos. Sacrifice? Forgetting sacrifice felt ... wrong. Each combination I considered seemed to send a fresh wave of heat from the chamber door. One wrong move, and we'd be engulfed in lava. This wasn't just a puzzle. It was a pressure cooker, and the timer was running out. Just as I was about to test a combination, a shimmering hologram materialized between me and the vault. The smug, digital face of my rival zookeeper. The one who saw the timeline not as a delicate ecosystem, but as a resource to be plundered. Having trouble? Chavala? His synthesized voice mocked. Why bother trying to seal the chamber? Think of the power it contains! We could fuel the entire zoo for millennia with that geothermal energy! He just didn't get it. Tampering with it could destabilize the entire Cenozoic era. You'd unravel history for a power boost. My rival just laughed. Details! Details! Let's just speed up the process, shall we? A red alert flashed on my interface. Volcanic protocol initiated. Sabotage. He was remotely triggering seismic destabilizers, trying to force the vault open. The chamber door glowed brighter, the glyphs swirling chaotically. Emberglass cried out, a sound of pure pain, as its form flickered violently. The rival's interference was severing its connection to this place, to its own memories. My interface prompted me with a countermeasure. It was time to push back. The rival's digital attack was relentless, each wave of sabotage making the ground shake more violently. The chamber's seal was weakening. Emberglass was fading, its light dimming. My memories, they're fracturing, it whispered, its voice barely audible over the roar of the beast. This wasn't just about the vault anymore. It was about saving Ember. I initiated the counter protocol, deploying a series of memory echo cards from my own system. These weren't weapons, but stabilizers designed to reinforce and protect temporal signatures. I targeted Emberglass, weaving a protective field of its own history around it. As the echoes connected, a flood of images, of feelings, poured into my mind. It was Emberglass's past, raw and overwhelming. I saw it flying not through the simulated sky of the biome, but over a real, primordial Earth. An ancient, colossal volcano was erupting, spewing fire and ash into a terrified world. And through it all, Emberglass flew, not away from the destruction, but towards it. I was born from sacrifice. Its voice echoed in my mind, filled with an ancient sorrow. The chamber holds my origin and my end. The truth hit me with the force of a shockwave. This vault wasn't a prison. It was a cradle. A place of rebirth. Emberglass wasn't the guard of the vault. It was the vault. The energy, the memories, the sacrifice, it was all part of its own life cycle. And to seal the chamber, to stop the eruption, it believed it had to erase its own beginning. To seal it, its voice trembled. I must forget who I was. The weight of that sacrifice was crushing. To save its world, it had to forget itself. To be reborn from the ashes without a past, over and over again. My rival saw power. Emberglass saw a duty it could no longer bear. The sabotage was still hammering away at us, but I saw the path forward now. It wasn't about forgetting. It was never about forgetting. You don't have to forget, I said, my voice firm, projecting the thought directly to Ember. You just have to choose what to remember. Your origin isn't a weakness. It's your strength. The bird looked at me, its glowing eyes filled with a flicker of hope. The puzzle wasn't about erasing a piece of the whole. It was about finding harmony, balance, and memory. Not one over the other. I stepped forward and keyed in the final combination, aligning the glyph for memory with the glyph for balance. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, the violent crimson glow of the chamber soft, shifting to a steady, golden light. The glyphs locked into place. The tremors stopped. The ground stilled. The eruption was averted. The chamber was sealed, but it wasn't a tomb. It was a sanctuary once more. Emberglass's form solidified, its light returning, warm and gentle. It looked at me, a deep, ancient intelligence in its eyes. I remember you, it chirped softly, the sound like the first embers of a comforting fire. That is enough. The warmth of the volcanic biome faded, replaced by an encroaching, biting chill. The immediate crisis with Emberglass was over. But the zoo. The zoo is a system of interconnected, delicate balances. Sealing the immense geothermal energy in one biome meant that energy had to be displaced somewhere else. My temporal monitor began to flash, showing a massive energy spike, not of heat, but of cold. The feed switched to the Arctic biome. The air there was shimmering, not with heat, but with a strange, crystalline distortion. Then, with a sound like a glacier calving in two, a rift of pure, blue-white energy tore open in the middle of the frozen tundra. Frost-covered creatures, things of ice and shadow that had been dormant for eons, began to stir, their eyes glowing with a cold, hungry light. It seems that in solving one problem, I've awakened another. From fire to frost. The zoo never sleeps. And my work is never, ever done. Thanks for watching. If you want to see what crawls out of that icy rift, make sure you're subscribed. See you next time.